Hola, hola! Welcome to episode number 14 of the new and improved 2 Feet on the Ground. I hope everyone is feeling good most of the time. And for those of you who are not feeling good most of the time, let's get you sorted out with some energy therapy. All right, I've named this episode Hispaniola Hate because along with showing you who we helped, I'm going to shed some light on the complex and deeply rooted issues of racial nationalism here, which in my mind is comparable to Siamese twins who fight the other without appreciating that they're actually hurting themselves. Anyways, but before I do, I'd like to announce that 2 Feet on the Ground has its first patron. Yay! Thank you for sharing your abundance with us, Kathleen. Your support and monthly donation not only helps the people here, but also inspires me to carry on with this project. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to share your abundance with 2 Feet on the Ground, just hit the link below to become a patron. Or if you'd prefer to make a one-time donation toward episode number 15, you can do so via PayPal or by an e-transfer in Canada. And if you don't have any money to share right now, you can still support the project by sending your good vibes, by liking and sharing the videos, and by subscribing to the YouTube channel, which, if you don't know, can help the project by earning money from advertisers once we hit 1,000 subscribers. Before I start, I'm just going to do a little disclaimer because I'm going to refer to skin color as white, brown, and black in this episode. So if you have thin skin, then it's probably best if you go for a walk instead of watching this. All right, let's get started. When I first moved here in June of 2015, I didn't know very much about the island's history or politics, or that there was a significant immigration deadline occurring that very week. The deadline came to pass after a 2013 decision to implement a regularization program that would formalize the citizenship or residency status of 350,000 Dominicans of Haitian descent who were stripped of their citizenship retroactively to 1930, leaving them stateless. Prior to the ruling, anyone born on Dominican soil, with the exception of diplomats and those in transit, were considered citizens. Except, as it turned out, the clause was used as justification to deny birth certificates, education, passports, and government ID to Dominicans of Haitian descent who were brought here by the government to work in the sugarcane fields by categorizing them as in transit. The 2013 ruling encouraged people born to undocumented parents to apply for residency permits as foreigners. Provisions for non-citizens who could establish their identity and prove they'd arrived before October of 2011 were also eligible. According to the government, more than 80% of the individuals deemed stateless submitted applications, and the ones who did not apply left the country voluntarily. However, many disputed the government's claims of cooperation, citing large numbers who resisted registering on the grounds of human rights violations, as they were born here. Others couldn't apply because getting a passport or ID from the Haitian government was slow and costly. And lastly, others couldn't apply because employers here in the DR didn't want to admit they'd been hiring illegals and wouldn't provide the needed paperwork. The Dominican government's claim of voluntary departure was challenged as well, since a reported 40,000 Haitians were describing being forcibly removed in the months leading up to the deadline, regardless of providing documents showing they'd applied and were waiting for approval. Human rights groups also raised concerns regarding the lack of clear protocols in the deportation process and accused the government of racial profiling, which remains a problem to anyone with black skin to this day. Back in 2015, when I arrived, I also wasn't aware that only 4 months earlier, a Haitian man had been lynched in the center of Santiago. despite the fact that Dominican nationalists had been protesting nearby that very day. 2 Haitian men were accused of the murder. What I did notice was that it was common for people here to openly refer to someone as white, brown, or black. It took a while for me to realize that the distinction between brown and black wasn't about melanin or racial traits, but by presumed nationalism, meaning brown meant Dominican, and despite possibly being born in the DR, black meant Haitian. Over time, I've extrapolated that the people on the island are split evenly between those who want to live harmoniously, regardless of the past, and those who support the racial nationalism that still plagues the island today. Reviewing the history, one can see that along with sharing the island of Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic and Haiti have both had their share of racially targeted atrocities, dating back to the arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492. At the time, the island was inhabited by the Taino people from South America, who were subsequently enslaved, impregnated, and abused by the Spanish colonizers. Haiti, on the other hand, was colonized by the French, who enslaved, impregnated, and abused African slaves, which they imported by the thousands. When Spain's mistreatment of the Taino people led to their genocide, they started importing African slaves as well. The Haitian society was divided into 4 groups based on wealth and skin color. Rich whites became known as the Grands Blancs. Working class whites were referred to as the Petits Blancs. The free people of color were mixed race or slaves who'd bought their freedom, and the black slaves. Since African slaves were as plentiful as the molasses that bought them, they were easily replaced by their French owners when they died from overwork or disease. Eventually, the black slaves outnumbered the 3 other societal classes combined by 15 to 1, leading to a revolt. The slave militia eventually wins their independence from France and becomes the Second Republic in the Western Hemisphere. Shortly after, the Governor General of Haiti orders the massacre of anyone who isn't black. Known as the Haitian Genocide, the military goes door to door and kills an estimated 5,000 white and brown men, women, and children. 20 or so years later, Haiti invades the DR and declares control of the whole island. This time, the Haitians enslave, impregnate, and abuse the Dominicans. They fight for another 20 years or so, and finally the Dominican Republic gains independence from Haiti. Reverting to Spanish rule, it takes another 20 or so years before the DR will gain independence from Spain. Modern-day colonizers, aka the U.S. military, arrive in Haiti in 1915 after the new president executes 167 political prisoners and the previous president. Then he's killed in an exceptionally horrible way, and for the next 20 years, American troops enslave, impregnate, and kill an estimated 15,000 Haitians. Jeez. In 1937, the Dominican president, who promotes his white European ancestry but denies his black Haitian ancestry, orders the massacre of Haitians living on the border. It's estimated that between 20 and 35,000 Haitians were then killed by the Dominican military. In 1957, Papa Doc and then his son Baby Doc rule Haiti. For the next 30 years, an estimated 100,000 Haitians are killed by their own corrupt government. Unfortunately, this list of racial atrocities is not exhaustive, but I'm sure by now you get the point, and won't be surprised to learn that presently, according to genetic studies, people on both sides of the island share the same gene pool of European, Taino, and African ancestry, with the main difference being that Haitians are more than 50% black, whereas Dominicans are less than 50%. So essentially, everyone on both sides of the border is a shade of brown. Just to drive the point home, here are pictures of 4 men from the island. 2 are Haitian, 2 are Dominican. Can you tell the difference? The commonality of their gene pool is the only similarity when comparing the two countries. They both have approximately the same populations of 11 million, but the Dominican Republic is twice the size of Haiti. Economically, the two countries had the same GDP per capita in 1960. Since then, the DR's GDP is 7 times that of Haiti's. And Haiti has gone from the richest country in the Western Hemisphere to the poorest. Geographically, due to natural and unnatural circumstances, the Dominican side is mountainous and fertile, while the Haitian side is arid and deforested. And while both sides of the island are at risk from earthquakes and hurricanes, Haiti lacks the funds for disaster response or infrastructure improvements and experiences more flooding and mudslides due to soil erosion. Politically, the DR has experienced relative stability over the last several decades, while Haiti is still struggling with authoritative and corrupt regimes, foreign interference, and non-elected political appointments. While the DR is relatively safe, making it the Caribbean's #1 tourist destination, Haitians are being raped, murdered, and kidnapped by gangs who the police can no longer control. So, it's no surprise that even though it means living under the constant threat of deportation, Haitians still trek through the jungles or bribe corrupt officials to cross the border into the DR. If you follow 2 feet on the ground, you've seen tidbits of this yo-yo system, including the time I was left standing on the street with a young boy after his father James and the 2 other men we were helping were taken by the police.
This is not my baby. This is Coño Coñazo.
So, as you can see, there are 2 separate immigration issues here. One involves generations of Dominicans of Haitian descent who were born here and have been stripped of their citizenship. The other involves Haitians who illegally cross the border looking for work and for a safe place to raise their children. And while I can appreciate the burden they place on the legal, healthcare, and educational systems, especially when you consider that even today, 30% of all babies born here have Haitian parents, I can also attest to the blatant discrimination against people with black skin and the inconsistent enforcement of the immigration policies. Granted, I've met some bad apples, but for the most part, the Haitians I know are hardworking, law-abiding citizens who accept the extortion and exploitation here because they have no recourse and because it's far better than fighting for their survival every minute of every day in Haiti. It is a challenging and sensitive subject, which, as an educated Canadian woman with white skin, cannot truly empathize with. What I can do is learn from the history, and I can keep asking questions like, where did those poor Haitians get all of those automatic weapons? I can also offer my heartfelt compassion and try my best to wake up every day focused on solutions and with good intentions that serve everyone. If you'd like to see who we helped in this episode and more exclusive content, please jump on over to my Patreon page and become a member. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. I wish you many, many blessings.